Hey, I'm Murphy Quint, head distiller here at Cedar Ridge Distillery, located in Swisher, Iowa. I'm sitting with Clown from the band Slipknot. We're going to spend a little time together today talking about Slipknot whiskey, and then Clown is going to answer some questions that have been submitted via the Slipknot fan club outside of the Nine. As we're rolling here, Clown is going to sign some bottles. If you're interested in purchasing one of those bottles, please click the link in the copy below and reserve your order today. Supplies are limited. So we'll get right into it here. Clown, how you been?
Good, man. How's it going?
Good, going well. So what have you been up to since February, March, since things started shutting down around here?
Well, it's been absolutely nuts, as everybody in the entire planet knows. So I just took the opportunity to try and convince myself to be more manual, to do manual labor, gardening, stuff, trees that need to come down, basically stuff I don't ever really get to because I'm on tour during the summer. So I really got to just enjoy my home and my yard and creating vegetables and, stuff I really just have not been able to do for years and years and years because we're always on tour in the summer. So.
Absolutely. All right, touching on whiskey here, what do you look for in a good whiskey?
Well, first and foremost, it has to taste good. I'm just one of those people that thinks all alcohol has issues in the taste category. But you have to compromise to get the alcohol. So taste is always first and foremost, and what I like to call my taste is I like things that are smooth. I figure the recipe, if it's perfect and meshing with the alcohol, if it's smooth, you really have something that's beneficial, in my opinion, because growing up, things were just too over the top to enjoy. But as I've gotten older, my palate has opened up to things that I never thought it would open up to. I don't know why that is, but younger whiskey was very hard to put down. But as I got older, it just acquired this taste because I could really taste the recipe, taste things that I never did before. And it's pleasurable when it's smooth and just tastes good.
Absolutely. Makes perfect sense. Is there a way that you normally like to drink your whiskey?
I'm sorry?
Is there a way that you normally like to drink your whiskey?
It's interesting because, now that we've been doing the whiskey, I've been meeting so many whiskey snobs. And, I've been yelled at by people by putting ice. But I've always been, I'm just I guess I like ice because one, I like things cold, obviously, but I like the water just helps do a little something for me. It's not like, I'm going to put the drink down before the ice even has too much a chance to melt, but it just helps me get my palate a little bit better cold, I think, and I just end up enjoying it more cold because I guess that's how I grew up with everything. So that's how I prefer. A couple ice cubes, small glass,
I'm with you on that. There's a lot of people out there that will try to tell you how you need to drink your whiskey. I'm always against that. I feel like if you buy the whiskey, you should drink it however you want to drink it, however you prefer.
I do appreciate that there's a cultness to it.
Yeah.
I love that part of it, but I'm like you. I want to do what I want to do.
Absolutely.
It's interesting to hear all these people that I meet that really have their theories down on how and why they drink the way they do. And, it all makes sense, and I learned from that, so I like that.
Awesome. All right, so Slipknot No. 9 whiskey, both the small batch and reserve, obviously are both made in the state of Iowa. How important is it to you that Slipknot whiskey comes from Iowa?
Well, it's very important because this all started with the love for, my grandma. And my grandma, she's like my favorite person in the world, so I wanted to dedicate a whiskey to my grandpa. Her husband, obviously, and he was a railroad worker, and Iowa came from Belgium to do that here. So doing this in Iowa was first and foremost the most important to keep the theme correct down the brand. I figure, one, I'm very close to you guys. I'm only, an hour and a half from you, so handshakes and eye contact and personal communication, it's so important for everything in life. So it just wouldn't be the same if I was doing it in California or Texas or anywhere. I wouldn't be able to get there as much. There's just different cultures. So anyway, it was absolutely a priority, first and foremost. If we couldn't get that done, it was going to be a very difficult thing to even do.
Absolutely. Okay. All right, so one thing I'm always interested in is kind of the roots of the story behind whiskey. How would you say the Slipknot whiskey relates to Slipknot's music?
Great question. Again, this is a hard area to answer because, one, I believe in the responsibility of drinking, behind drinking. But aggressive music, aggressive culture, drink, food, all of it is one in this culture that I am engulfed in, which is just hard rock music, So it goes hand in hand whether we like it or not. I want to say the obvious. It's blatant. It works. This is what we do. But I also promised myself I would always have a certain sort of responsibility behind drinking. Yeah. Instead of pounding people hey, this is what this is what I have and this is what we do. I have a lot of years being younger and regretting as much as I may have drank without education, being told certain things. So they go hand in hand, and you're never going to break apart that relationship. Those hands are always going to stay together. So I think it's one and the same. If I could, I'd sell it at every show, and it's supposed to be one of these things where it's feel it, own it, be it, and let it ride instead of an all-night thing. So I believe that you sort of rock and roll and the drink and the rest of it kind of go hand in hand.
Absolutely, and on that note, one fun challenge for the production workers here is that the whiskey here at Cedar Ridge is typically on the more approachable side, a little softer and inviting maybe. But when we were producing this one challenge was that we wanted to make it a little bit bolder and a little bit louder of a whiskey because with Slipknot's a bold band and we can't just have a soft, super easy sipping whiskey. It needed to be a little bit louder. So we had a lot of fun working with you in order to kind of modify things so that we get that out of our whiskey.
Well, and it's important too because for us, it's very important to give our culture something unique for them, and to turn up the recipe just a little bit for our maggots, and our culture is kind of the dream, to make them important.
Absolutely.
And I like that. That's what we've always done. That's what we are. I want to keep, our culture separate from all the other cultures a little bit until it's all one culture. So that's cool that, we did have to make it a little bit different,
Absolutely. So, and once again, kind of related to that, I know that after getting to know you over the last couple of years, you're one of the most creative people I've ever met, and that you, everything you do, there's an artistic element involved in it. In what ways did art impact this project or this product?
Well, I like to say that I smear art, and what I mean is that, I'm very into the bottle, I'm very into the sticker, I'm very into, obviously, the juice inside is the most important thing. But let's talk about that. That's a recipe, that's time, that's pressure, that's an art, that's a lost art as far as I'm concerned. So all this is important to me as one aesthetic, you know what I mean? So, I feel that the fans expect that from me, to have something a little bit different. So I believe the art and the juice, they all go together as one big art. The most art that's on this is what's inside here. This is unbelievable, art, I guess. It's unbelievable it can be made. So instead of just having it speak for itself, get everything and just brand it as one whole thing. So it's very important to me to not just let it slip at the, just let it slip and who cares and put whatever on whatever. It was very important to make sure everything fit the aesthetic perfectly.
Makes perfect sense. And that is one of my favorite things about this whiskey is your involvement with it. I think, being a celebrity and having a following and stuff like that, it would have been really easy to just say you want a whiskey and have someone do it all for you. But you came in and you were very hands-on with the blend of the whiskey. I mean, you literally chose the final blend, the final proofs. You were involved with the packaging, the label design, and all that. I always kind of geek out about that. I think it's neat how involved you were with the artistic elements of the product.
Well, how can you back something if you're not 190% behind it? I taste it all the time. It's important. It's important to be able to understand, and I'm still learning. I'm constantly trying to learn about what we're doing together.
And on the note of being involved with the final blends, for those of you who don't know, Slipknot Whiskey, both number 9 small batch and number 9 reserve. It is a blend of Cedar Ridge, bourbon, and rye. Like I said, Clown picked out the final blends himself. You came in one day and we tasted through several different barrels at several different proofs, and we settled on a 60% bourbon, 40% rye final grain bill for this product. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of that has to do with bolding up this whiskey. Our bourbon is a pretty sweet bourbon, and it can be a little bit friendly and approachable, but that rye mixes with it perfectly. It gives it a kick of sweet and spice, and it kind of picks up the boldness of that whiskey. And so having you involved with that process was a lot of fun. So we'll switch here into some fan questions. People from the outside the 9 fan club have written in a few questions for us to go over today. And the first one that we're going to go over is from Gabriel from Indianapolis, Indiana. And Gabriel is wondering, what are some of the things that you did to pass time while you were growing up?
I spent as much time as I could in the woods and creeks and just anything that was different. I feel very fortunate not to have grown up in the phone era. We were always looking for things, and you wouldn't believe that if you go looking for things, you will find things. So I think we spent most of our time under trees, in forests, walking down creeks, toads, frogs, squirrels, rabbits, snakes, fish, crawdads, whatever. That's what I mainly did in my life, was to spend that kind of time in more of a nature bit. Say hi to my wife. She's sneaking around.
Hello. All right, the next one is from Alex in Buckhorn, Canada. And Alex is wondering, what have you been doing in your spare time since COVID hit?
Well, my mom was a master gardener, and I've said this, I've been saying this on my podcast and a couple other things, is that my mom was a master gardener, and growing up, I always had to do things for her, and I used to just go crazy because I just wanted the money and go hang out with my friends. But when this all happened, I started thinking about applying some of that stuff I had learned while growing up. And also because of what we're doing. I just want to learn more about what I haven't been paying attention to. And a lot of it's just nature, just the simple ability of growing a plant, actually planting a seed and seeing if you can make it come up, and then nurture it to a point where it provides, fruit and seed. And so that's what I've been doing, is just I guess putting my art into a garden. I grew a sunflower for our daughter who passed away, and I'm gonna be taking 3 seeds and put them in like a little seed package. I'm gonna draw a picture and sell them, to our fans and or whoever, and give the money to like an animal rescue league in the name, in honor of our daughter. So just kind of been pinpointing life, I guess, learning to harness life. It's a very difficult thing, and it can be even more of a difficult thing as a man. I don't feel like we always have that nurturing sense in us. So I've been trying to slow some things down on the go, 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 and try to nurture something a little bit more instead of a scheduled just manhandling and stuff. So that's what I've been doing, just getting outside, trying to not gain weight, meaning stay in shape for the knot. I know, I've foreseen us on stage. I've seen it. I've seen us on stage. I've seen us walk out. I've seen Corey Taylor in complete tears without being able to talk because it's so emotional, because we as a community are back together. And maybe we've all understood we can't take certain things for granted anymore. So I've just been being manual and working, making sure that everything stays up here for what we do, There you go.
All right, the next one is from Mariah in Amsterdam, New York. And Mariah is wondering, do you create your album cover art before or after the songs are completed?
Very rarely we'll have an album cover picked out before the album, before we start working. So what I do is I wait for it to present itself. I don't know what it is. It has to represent all of us in a certain way in my brain. So it comes when it comes, and it just shows its face. It's not unlike an album title. You don't push these sort of things. You don't try to make some sort of contrived piece of art because it literally has to be a feeling. I have to see it and go, that represents all of us in some way. It's just my opinion. This album cycle, I was trying to go a little more fine art. A simple, iconic image, utilizing purples, royalty, different philosophies for this. Now, on this album, I did set up a couple shoots to try and get something, and I got what I got out of maybe 5,000 pictures taken on different days, different scenarios. It all came down to that photo, and there were like 3 of them. 2 of them were blurry, 1 was not. It's the album cover. I got lucky. I got about halfway through creating, so there was no stress. I already got it, and it was done. And the people that need to take something like that to start working it got it early. And so it always has to present itself. I can't just go bring it on. It has to really fester somehow.
Absolutely. And Brian has a follow-up question. Would you ever consider turning one of your albums into a movie?
That stuff's talked about all the time. I mean, we're definitely going to put a Slipknot movie out. I haven't really thought about individualizing the movie, pardon me, by making it designated towards an album, but that's a great idea. The movies are coming. We just want to get a lot of years underneath us, and not just something you put out. If we're going to do it, it needs to be serious. Can't be cheesy. It can't be something I regret later. It has to have integrity towards what we are, and not a freak show. It can't be a circus show. It can't be a Halloween, a horror movie. It can't be wrestling. It can't be anything but Slipknot. But it's coming,
Awesome. All right, Vinny from Island Park, New York is wondering, which song did you enjoy writing a percussion part for the most?
Well, that's always the first and foremost song, Sick. It was the very first song we ever wrote. The drum beat is a drum beat that I wrote, the bop, 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 bop. That's a beat that I had going in my life forever. Just something that I had. It never came out in anything musically that I had done until I started jamming with Paul. And when I jammed with Paul, that beat came right out, and the original singer, Andy, and I we would kind of do this drum thing that would build into a song, much different than it is now. But that's, you know, that will always be the song that started it, and it's always my favorite thing to think about going into anything I have to record, because it has, that's like the bar. You know, if you need to know what the percussion is, it starts and ends with what sick is. And if it doesn't have sort of a flair like that, it can't be. As far as what I do in the machinery known as Slipknot.
All right, very cool. All right, Patrick in Murfreesboro, Illinois. If you could talk to your younger self, what would you tell him?
Oh, that's a bad question. Okay, I think this is a good answer. People might not like this answer, but you need to really think about it. I don't regret anything I've done in life. I wouldn't change a thing, but there's no way in hell I'd do it again. No way. I don't know if I'd tell that to my younger self, actually. I don't know if I would make that, because this has been incredible. This has been incredible, but I'd be lying if I didn't tell our fans and, you know, our people what it is that I'm talking about. What it is sacrifice. My children grew up while I was on the road. That's a decision I made, and that's a decision I'm going to regret for the rest of my life, because, you know, they were young. They needed a dad, or my wife played both parts and took them to Colorado to be with their cousins so they could do lake stuff and boat stuff, and I did work stuff. And at this age of my life, it hurts a little, and especially after losing, you know, a child. You know, you can't help but think about that every day. So I spent a lot of time thinking about this decision I made for the dream that I was destined to do, but the price that it has come with is a very heavy-duty price for me. I care so much for my family, the 6 of us, and our outside family. So that's why I wouldn't do it again, because I think in life all we're supposed to do is, you know, make sure life goes on, and kids and stuff, you know. That's probably the secret to happiness, is not being focused on all this stuff that we manhandle. And so that's a hard one, but maybe eat less at 4 in the morning, because that's how I gained my weight, was just drinking and eating at the wrong hours and then sleeping until 5 and not getting anything done. But I've had a hell of a life, and like I said, I have no regrets. I wouldn't change a thing, you know. But it's been a crazy ride.
Absolutely, that's great advice. Great advice. All right, Joel from Chicago, Illinois. How has Slipknot affected your thinking over the years?
Oh God, another hard question. This is good. Well, as a cliche, everybody gets older and wiser. That's just what it is. I see myself and catch myself acting like my dad all the time. I hate it. Can't stand it. Don't want to be that. But Slipknot has opened my eyes to the world. I've had to exchange so much foreign currency. I've had to learn different languages. I've had the opportunity to eat, you know, authentic food in the place. So what it has done for me, the planet Earth has been opened. It's not a globe anymore. I can actually say I was in Bangkok, you know, and pointed to Des Moines, Iowa. That's a great distance. Singapore, South Korea. I mean, who in Iowa is getting to South Korea? Let's just say there's 1 million people in Iowa. How many people go to Singapore for work? Not for vacation, just for work. It's a small percentage.
Yeah.
So I'm very blessed to have been able to get the education. I tell people all the time I have a PhD in rock and roll, and they think that might be playing drums or singing. No, it's about speaking to the culture of the Japanese, going to South America, differentiating people from Brazil and St. Paul, you know, going to Peru, going to temples, going to Aztec temples, and these sort of things, I would have never done it. I would have never, I've seen the first part of my career, what I would do on days off is I would go see churches and museums, but mainly churches. Because in Europe, they're absolutely beautiful. Here in Italy and Milan, the churches are beautiful. Germany, beautiful. So the first part of my career, all I did was go to churches and check the walk all the way up, and the paintings and the stained, unbelievable. You're talking about things created 15th, 16th, 17th century, right? And I even went to a castle, you're like this. We went to Newcastle, and on the Newcastle pier, you see a castle and a bridge. So we stayed in a hotel, we walked the bridge to the castle, did a tour of the castle, supposedly haunted. They had gravestones from the 14th century. Unbelievable. Still can make out the name. I mean, that's from the 14th century, and I'm sitting there looking at it. That's what Slipknot's done for me. It would have never been, most people in Newcastle don't even realize there's a little castle thing on with the bridge, world famous thing. So, let's walk the bridge, let's go to the castle, and let's get a tour of the brewery. But unfortunately, we go for the tour, and they're closed 2 weeks a year for cleaning, and we're there during the 2 weeks. So, total clown stuff. So we got the brewery, very cool, very thankful. No booze to be drank, protesting. So that goes without saying, that's Slipknot stuff. So, a lot of wisdom, man. Opened my life to this world.
Absolutely. All right, James from across the pond in the United Kingdom. What is your favorite film?
Well, it's a tie because as an 7, 8-year-old, Star Wars impacted my imagination. Right age, right time, right era, right decade, right everything. Okay? You could never make Star Wars that way again. They don't. No offense, but they just don't. It's never been like the first three. And I got to grow up as a kid with a kid's imagination, during that time. And it just took me so far. Apocalypse Now.
That Apocalypse Now on my list for about a year now, and I haven't gotten around to watching it. Maybe I'll give it a go tonight.
Two things you need to do. One, do not watch the Redux.
Okay.
The Redux is longer. It's all the edited scenes out. That's important because I was always impressed by the first one. It's just the normal Apocalypse Now, and they'll call the other one the Redux. And it's got like a lot of scenes, but it's super long. I don't know which one you should watch first. I'd watch the original. And then when you're done with it, then watch the Redux, and you'll obviously see the other scenes, and you'll see why they cut them. It makes sense. I think that's why I'm telling you. Because the companies decided to cut those for whatever reason. So, but when you're done, what's really awesome is the documentary that was made by his wife, Mrs. Coppola. It's called The Hearts of Darkness. And the whole movie is based off a book, called that, and Ivory Hunter. But you have to watch, some of it, you might even want to watch that documentary first. It doesn't give anything away. It just tells you the hell all these artists went through. Martin Sheen had a heart attack during it, making the movie. It's for real. So, you know what? Watch Heart of Darkness first.
I will.
Then watch Apocalypse Now. Then watch the Redux.
You got it. I'll do it. I'll do it in that order. All right. From Natasha, how did quarantine affect your musical productivity?
Actually, it hasn't done anything. Slipknot's a proactive, organism. We're not going to sit around and wait for life to dictate us. So currently, I'm working on music that we all got together and sort of wrote on the road. And I'm also working on all the music that's left over from the last 2 records with the new guys. There's a plethora of stuff that's left over, and we're getting it, organized for everybody to do their thing. So music can never stop for anything. You know, unfortunately, you can create music. I have a studio in my basement now. It's been a lifelong dream, and I finally obtained it. And I'm able to create at the leisure of my own life. So I won't let anything in this world get in the way of doing what I love most, which is being involved in music, whether it's producing, performing, creating, writing, any of it. So it hasn't done anything, and it's not going to do anything because it's just my life, and I refuse. You know, the way I look at things is, malaria unfortunately kills a lot of human beings. Heart disease currently kills a lot of people, and COVID kills a lot of people. So I have to keep my brain focused on no fear of this world collapsing on me. I have to do what I was born to do, which is make music for all of us. With my brothers, obviously. So
absolutely. And on that note, she has a follow-up question. Are we going to hear or see anything special from Slipknot soon?
Absolutely. There's a lot of with us, everybody knows, there's always surprises. We're well into the future about what we're wanting to do because it takes a long time, but everybody's going to be hearing a lot of news about a lot of music and a lot of things. So keep ears open. I try to find the benefits of negative things, and right now the world is in a really state, right? And so we try to alter that by trying to do positive things. So I'm not going to be at the other end of this saying I coulda, shoulda, woulda. I'm going to be at the other end of this going, we did this, 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 we did this. And it's just because what we do. It's just because what we do. This is when I like the internet. This is when I like the cell phone. But normally I don't like any of that garbage. You know what I mean? Because it's everybody talking over everybody. Everybody's wrong because everybody's right. I mean, give me a break. Come on, we don't even listen to each other. So, gotta do it, and I'm not gonna let these times dictate not doing it. Just like these lovely people out here. Everybody's gonna live. You gotta live. You can't just call it.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. All right, Raymond from Middletown, Connecticut. Out of all the music videos you produced, which one did you have the most fun making?
I don't want to be a jerk, but it's always very, very, very hard to do videos with the band because it's very important to me to make sure everybody in the band's happy. What it generally happens is we walk on set and the budget's been cut, even though they all told us. They all promised that this, and this was going to happen. I'll get there. This, and this are going away. So usually when I got to mandate band stuff, man, it becomes very hard. Because I just want them to be happy. So I'd say my favorite video that I've ever done is a video called Exits. I made it for Paul Gray. It's the first song that's on the album 25, The Great Chapter. It's about him passing. I got to make a video in Florida, the lowest budget ever. I think it was like 15 grand or something. And I took a coffin and put it in fresh spring water and lit it on fire with two girls. So being no band members and anything and focusing on such an extreme theme made it very personal. And I could just get it done, and it wasn't about production. It was about making art right now, right here, the best I can with no money, and make something special. So it was dedicated to him, and it was sort of an art project for me to be able to just dedicate something to him solo. Just here you go, my friend. You love him. He's the reason I am what I am. He noticed my ability in art. He's the one that harnessed it. So that video is my favorite because I got to do something specifically.
Wow, all right. Very, very good. This next one is from Ricardo in Mexico City, Mexico. Have you been inspired at all during these difficult times? I assume he's referring to COVID.
All I'm doing is art. Art all day long. I get up, I make music, this garden of mine's art. That's all I'm doing. I've been so inspired because I'm at home. And the reason why, it's a very unusual time for me because usually if I'm home during the summertime, it's usually because there's other bands like Stone Sour or something being on tour. So I'm, they're on their album cycle and I'm at home doing nothing. And that can be a lot of time. I'm loving this time because everybody's home. And they haven't felt this before. Everybody's home. Management's home. Booking agents are home. Everyone's got to deal. I've had to deal with this before. I've had to go home for a couple of years and wait to get back on the road. But I love that. We love that. We need that. And I love this time because a lot of people that have never had mandatory lifetime have it, which equals more family time, more personal time to accomplish things you only talked about and dream about. Imagine all the babies that are going to be born. Lots of babies are going to be born. Think about all the alcohol being drank. Think about all the bike rides, fishing. You can't buy a fishing boat, John boat in Des Moines. I went to buy a four-wheeler. You can't buy a four-wheeler because everybody's like tired of their kids being home. Here's a four-wheeler. Go play. So it's an interesting time. It's a very, very, very strange and unfortunate time. But there's the ability to jump on, to harness. Look, we all get love, no way. So, this is good.
Yeah, you make a good point. I mean, there's obviously a ton of negative going on with all this, but there's some positive too in the sense that we all slow down. We do some of the stuff that is very important that we've forgotten about.
Yeah, I mean, think about all the people that will say, because, they're full of shit, hey, what are you doing? Oh yeah, just spending more time with my kid. No, you're not. No, you're not. You didn't. You're just saying it because that's what people say. So think about all the unfortunate people that aren't going to do things that they wanted to do or accomplish during this time. And this time will end.
Yeah.
And there will be a huge percentage of people that plow through it. Plow. But let's be honest, I'm not trying to poke because there are a lot of people that just can't get certain things done because of their situation. And those are the people I care for the most and what I'm so worried about. But we all just gotta come together and try. So I've been extremely creative and nothing's gonna stop me.
This next one is from Fawaz in Jordan. What does Clown's "We Are Not Your Kind" era mask represent?
Well, basically what I tried to go with this mask is what I told everybody, which is I wanted to make something that felt like me, looks like me, a little older, a little broke apart. But if you're sitting here, the original is the chrome, okay? But they're all similar. But the goal is that if you're here and you're looking at me, you're part of it. You might not see a perfect reflection like a mirror, but you will at least look at it and you'll be in it. And that's important at this stage of the game, this long into it. It's more important to be able to have everyone really be involved in it as much as I am.
All right, this next one is from Matthew in Adelaide, Australia. Do you still get nervous before a concert?
I've never gotten nervous.
Really?
No, I just get ready. If I have anything, it's because I want to play. It's never nervous like, oh, eyes are on me, or, I gotta do this or I gotta do that. It's more or less just let's go. I can't wait to do this. It's what I love more than anything. So it's never nervous, just like let's go. I can't wait to beat the hell out of myself.
Bit of an adrenaline rush.
So much I gotta talk to myself. I'm pretty infamous for walking back and forth, because I'm talking to myself. I'm like, hey, Mr. Hart, how you doing? Can you slow down a little bit? It's the beginning of the show. Chill out. Legs, knees, what's up? Oh, you hurt. Okay, I remember that. You hurt. Relax, Mr. Knee. That's what I have to do because it's on. You never know there's so much on that. You gotta be focused.
All right, from Kyler in Chester, Virginia. What is one place that you wanted to go but never could while you were on tour?
Israel, just growing up in, I went to private schools and stuff, and, just I've read the Bible a lot in my life, and kind of want to put some, visions in my head to real places. Really see some things that have been talked about for a very, very long time, to try and make sense of more of what's been explained and what's been read, to try and put some, stuff on it. So,
absolutely. Out of all the places you mentioned, which is an incredible amount of places, I haven't been to any of them, but I have fortunately been to Israel. My wife was born and raised in Israel. And
wow.
It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that's weird, right? Right now, right here, we talk about that, and you've been there. That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, from Christopher in Hillsborough, North Carolina. All right, I think this is a hypothetical. You're stuck in a loop. You have to pick one set list. What era would you be performing for all eternity?
Well, it's a trick question because set lists are combined of all albums.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe we'll album.
Yeah, no, we'll say the album. I mean, I'm a big Volume 3 fan,
Okay.
so we'll just call it that. It's not fair to ask people in the band what's their favorite and stuff like that, because it's all one album. But there's just too many great things, from Barn Burners being straight hardcore songs that we write to, Duality, Before I Forget, then you got Circle, The Booster Exists, Prelude. Just got all this. I really love that album. I loved working with Rick Rubin and these sorts of things. But hey, the first two albums are God too. You can't touch that. I can't touch that era in my life. I can't touch that idea and those things. So yeah, we'll just go with Volume 3 today. Tomorrow might be different.
I imagine so. From Andrea in Palm Desert, California. Who's somebody that you'd most like to collaborate with, musically or artistically?
I've always wanted to collaborate with people I personally would collaborate with, I'd love to collaborate with Britney Spears.
Yeah.
I'd love that. I'd love to take the pop and the pop. And, I want to do different things,
Yeah.
So, why do the contrived easy way, I want to go elsewhere that's fascinating and challenging.
Okay.
So it'd be something like that, beyond, just whatever, just pop, even Elton John, whatever, just some of the elites, maybe, possibly.
I like it. All right. From Matt in Stockton, California. Have you found any new hobbies or ways to express yourself during quarantine? I know you touched on that a bit, but if you want to touch on it again.
Yeah, just doing my thing, gardening, a lot of internet stuff, getting my website right, getting art, things that I just haven't had time, and just, try to make time for it.
All right, and last fan question here. From Alexia in Haskell, New Jersey. Has the band considered playing a tour of small venues only?
That's going to happen. Just a matter of time, because we all miss that. Unfortunately, being the band we are these days, it gets a little hard to think about going back, just because of everything we have. We actually have to think about that and create things to get back there. But I'm going to mandate that, because I have to get back to those days. I have to be able to put my foot on the barricade and, just slap somebody that slapped me. That's, I miss that so much. I miss it so much. That's how it started. You got to remember, when we were no one, I'd jump off the stage and go out, and no one could care less. You do it now, it's a big deal because you're so famous and there's all this coming to it. But I miss being able to be in it without all this extra baggage. Just live the moment, get out there with the people, do a backflip or what have you. But that will definitely come. It won't be every city, but it'll probably be 20 shows, 30 shows, real quick, in and out. And very small and very sold out very quick, I think.
All right. Well, I'm sure the fans are going to love that. I have one last question, and we'll start wrapping it up here. Getting back to whiskey, What do you think the future of Slipknot whiskey is?
The future is, right now, I'm learning. Here I am. This is working. We love it. People love it. I'm trying to educate myself the most I can so I can get with you and hopefully bring some things to you that you think are interesting and new and intubating that you can teach me. So I think the future is maybe getting outside the box a little bit and trying some, not experiments, because I don't believe in that. I believe in the final end result, but trying some things that are a little different. Maybe a liqueur. I don't know. Today we talked about a million things. Special editions, and there's so many things and so many places we could go. But what I can tell you for sure is the future is education, to better the juice, to better the brand, to still bring the quality to the furthest amount we can to the culture. That's the most important thing of all, and I think if I'm bringing anything to the future, that's what it'd be. Just be a better mind towards what we're doing together, so I can, bring new, interesting things along with what we've already created.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a distiller, I can tell you, it's always fun to hang out with you because we get to talk about cool outside the box things, like you just referred to. I mean, we have a tendency to get stuck doing the same thing. We're cranking out the same products on a long-term basis, and so trying new things and looking towards new products in the future, it allows us to get outside the box, like you mentioned, and it's a nice breath of fresh air. So that's always fun. Before we wrap up here, do you have any last final statements for the fans?
I just want to let everybody know, like I always do, we miss every one of you. We love each and every one of you. We hope everybody's safe. We hope everybody's taking care. Please do your best to be knowledgeable and hear what's going on with the world, because it's real. And, we need to secure our future together so we can continue to do what we love. And that's pay major homage to our God music. And I just want to say hello and thank you. Really miss all you guys and miss what we do, but I've foreseen it. And, hopefully it won't be much longer. And just hope everybody's staying above water and, taking care. Really worried about everybody right now. And, just very concerned. So I just want to say, thanks a lot, everybody. See you soon.
All right, Clown. Well, thanks a lot for coming in today. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Always fun to have you here.
Anytime, you know it. I love it here.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone who tuned in for this. And just a reminder, if you're interested in purchasing one of the bottles signed by Clown himself, please click the link in the copy below and make your order today. And once again, supplies are limited. So thanks so much. Stay safe, everybody, and have a good one.
Later.